let's talk about Trey Lance's mechanics. And I'll start this one because I kind
Yeah,
of
please
started the
do.
conversation today. And if you missed it, I put out a video, I put out some tweets. And what I'm seeing is um, Trey Lance seems to have something he needs to fix, which is when he misses the tendency to miss high. Also, this report about arm fatigue, two things. Um, and then I filmed him in slow motion. I put it out, and I know some coaches too, ones that would prefer to stay off the record because it's the way it is. Anyway, they watched the film, and these guys are very experienced, and it took them about 20 seconds. So this is what I see. He is sometimes, not all the time, a lot of the time he's doing it right, but sometimes he has a tendency to extend his front leg too soon, which causes his arm to drag, which causes two things. Either he speeds up his arm, which he has the talent to do, which causes arm fatigue after a while, or it causes you to miss high. One of the two things. And it seems to make sense to me. I could see it as well. And what's so intriguing about Lance is that, again, he does it right most of the time. So it seems like if he could do it right all the time, fix this one thing, have a coach who drills it, has the right drills and emphasizes it, he could be fine. He could be the next Josh Allen. That's the way I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah, I reached out to some people too that I trust. It's so funny when you talk to these quarterback coaches, or people that know more than I would about this. I feel like whenever I've reached out to multiple people in the past, I get different answers every time.
Yeah.
Every time, right? And it's like, depending on what they look at as far as mechanics, every single one of them have a different view of a perfect mechanic, right? Or perfect mechanical throws.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got a mixed bag a little bit in some of the research that I was able to pull out. And I even got as far as the opposite of locking the leg too early can cause you to throw low
Hmm.
because you're locking out, you're not allowing your hip to fully open, and you're kind of pulling your body forward, which is going to drive the ball down. So I don't know, man. You know what? I will say this, regardless of whether that's the actual issue or not, this is a work in progress, right? And the one thing that I think all of us have said about Trey Lance, accuracy being consistent is going to be the issue early on. However, he's got so many other things going for him that they can work around it until he figures it out. And I fully expect that he will figure it out because he wants to be great, right? And I think you've got the same stance. Right now, though, there is going to be some of those ups and downs with accuracy and missing high. This is not nothing new. Remember last year when they would run those same routes and I would ask you the same question, are they going left to right? And every single time you're like, yep, when they go left to right, he misses high on dig routes. Now, I don't know if it's still left to right or if it's just all dig routes, but that has been an issue. Sounds like he's gotten better at it, but it is still a thing.
The thing about this, and why I keep coming back to the front leg, is that if he extended his front leg early every time, I might think, oh well, that's what they're coaching him to do. That's what Sean McAvoy wants him to do. That's what Brian Greasy wants him to do. But no, he does it right most of the time. I showed the video of Tom Brady how he does it. That's what Trey Lance looks like most of the time. So if that's the case, to me, this is something that he could just fix with emphasis and drilling. It's something that maybe is new to him. I mean, the whole thing is new to him. He's 22 years old. But I think this is, to me, again, if you ever played baseball, if you threw a ball at all, imagine yourself pitching, coming down on the mound and landing on a straight leg. You don't do that. You don't. You land on a bent leg and you straighten it out as you follow through. And that's what Lance does most of the time. Now, I'm sure you can find examples of guys throwing straight legged and throwing dimes. There's some amazing athletes in the NFL. I'm not sure that Lance is one of those kind with his arm in terms of arm talent. Like Mahomes seems to have the arm talent where he can do literally whatever the fuck he wants to do
Mm-hmm.
and throw dimes. At least that's him. That's not Lance. It seems like Lance, once he gets his mechanics in order, like Brady, he's gonna be special. And I think he's close. it's unrealistic to expect him to be there now because we all as the thumbnail of this post is, it's a project.
Mhm.
It took Josh Allen 3 years. He had a really good coach. So far, Lance is in year 2, year 1, one red shirt. I don't know. I think he'll get there with some good quality control.
Not to toot my own horn, but beep beep, if you know what I mean. Yeah, listen, here's the thing. I will say this. It is very, very clear. Dadow talked about it and talking with everybody. It's very clear that the thing they did work on this offseason was the base and
Yep.
shortening that front stride. Because one thing that he did do
Shorten
that
the
would
front.
cause this to happen even more often, probably,
Mhm.
is that he would take a big stride and
Right.
that would take his base away from him.
Right.
He shortened that front step a lot, which
Right.
has allowed everything else to kind of flow
Makes
with
sense.
it
That
a
makes sense.
lot more seamlessly.
Makes sense.
But if there's going to
Think
be
about
an
it. Hold on,
issue,
hold on.
yeah,
Let's stick with that. If you overstride, right, you're
yep,
going to have a tendency to lock your leg out too early
yep,
because you're like stepping forward, and now your upper body is dragging behind. So I think he has boom. That's it. He's trying to break a habit. His habit is overstriding. Overstriding leads to, in his case, extending early. He's working on it. He does it right most of the time, but this is key for him, his lower body,
mhm,
because it throws everything out of sync and it can lead to inaccuracy and arm fatigue. Bingo. Because once your whole throwing motion is out of sync, your brain will correct mid throw with your arm, and he has the strength and arm, talent to do it, but you could hurt yourself if you do it like that too much for too long. So this is what quality control is all about, Jesse. I'm glad we're doing this together.
we're on it. We're on
We
assignment.
are. And again, I think this is stuff that probably if we spoke to him privately, he'd be like, yeah, I know. This is what we talked about all offseason. I know.
Mhm.
And it's not going to become muscle memory in one offseason. But I want to take Trey out of it. Trey's doing great. He's an earnest,
For sure.
hardworking kid. I'm talking directly to Brian Greasy and Kyle Shanahan. Like, this is something you need to drill. Find the right drills for this because you need to accelerate the process here. Because until you do, you can't call the dig over you can't call the 15-yard pass over the middle and just hope that he doesn't miss high. Like, no, fix it right now. You got 3 weeks. Right now.
See, but that's what's interesting though,
Yeah.
and when I learned this a lot in talking to Coach McAvoy last offseason, is that the quarterback coaches for the team really aren't there for a lot of mechanics. It's the footwork they teach, and you've seen it happen with Greasy in some of the videos, is really in the drop back and the way that they, left foot forward, right foot forward, how they want to drop back to like that's what they're there to do, and to get them to read the offense and read the defense. More importantly, how they're supposed to. That's what team QB coaches are mostly there for.
I disagree with that. Maybe that's what they've become,
Yeah,
but the idea of Brian Greasy and Kyle Shanahan seeing what we're seeing and looking like, oh yeah, his legs extended a little bit forward. Well, nothing we can do. We'll get it next year. Like, no, 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 no. You guys are the best coaches in the world. He does it right most of the time. There's got to be some drills you can do to emphasize this. Don't just throw your hands up and be like, well, Sean McAvoy will handle it next year. No, 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 no. Come on, you should have handled it. Rich Gangarella should have been on this last year.
right.
I'm just saying. You think Chris Kasarik looks at his defensive lineman, he's like, oh, well, I can't do that. I think there's position coaches that are freaking great at
Yep.
handling the fundamentals. And you have other position coaches who have no experience who are here because why? That's my question with Brian Greasy. Why are you here? I understand why the Bills hired Ken Dorsey because of what he did with Cam Newton. That was clear. Brian, why are you here? Are you the best man for this job? Do you have anything that can help? Because to me, with the thing with Trey that makes him different than Patrick Mahomes is there is a clear issue here. Missing high. Who can fix it? I'm trying. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
But so far, I feel like I've contributed more to the conversation than Brian Greasy. Brian, what are you doing? Are you helping? Are you throwing up your hands? I'd like to see some results. Brian.
He's still
Brian.
better than Scangarello, though.
Great. That's a low bar. That's a low bar. Trey deserves the freaking best, in my
I
opinion.
agree. No, I agree.
Scott says if Trent gets hurt again, too, we're in big trouble. Oh.
I don't
Yeah.
even want to.
Matt says, who needs the playbook when you already know it? Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, he knows it. He knows it. Like, I think the Niners Hart McGlinchey and is going to extend him. They haven't extended him yet. I don't know about that. Maybe.
He can't stay
They like the
healthy.
person
I
he is, right?
just no, I can't.
G Martinez, thank you for becoming a member. Flav, is the tennis court Jimmy played on bigger than hashed sidelines? That's like a ping pong table. So scary if Trey can't throw a pass over the middle of the field. How's he going to get the ball to Kittle? There's a million ways. You know, what I'm discussing about avoiding the middle of the field is exactly what the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts or what they did last year. They went to the playoffs too. It's a lot you can do without forcing passes over the middle if the quarterback's inaccurate in those. It's called not throwing into traffic. Is what it's called.
Yeah.
You don't have to,
No.
especially if the guy you can run the ball and you can move the pocket, you can throw deep, throw outside the numbers. I mean, there's so much you can do. Now, of course, you want to be able to throw there too, but it's a risk reward thing. You got to feel confident that he can hit that. They practiced it so much last week. It didn't go so great. They got 3 more weeks.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And you know what? The way that I see it is I would rather have my quarterback if he has a flaw or a glitch in his game,
Yep.
I'd much rather be able to stretch the field horizontally and vertically than be stuck in this
Right.
20 by
Right.
12 box essentially. Like I don't want anything to do with that.
And again, if Jimmy were, if Trey were 31 and Jimmy were 31, I'd be like, I don't want either. But the whole thing with Trey is he's 22. Give
Right.
him a chance to improve. He's probably already better than Jimmy right now. But the idea is if you actually let him freaking play, because I never ascribe to the thing that you get better on the bench. If you actually let him play, he just might be elite by the time he's 24 or 25, like Aaron Rodgers was or Josh Allen was. But you got to let him play. Letting Jimmy play does nothing. It just spins wheels. You're spinning your wheels.
I think that you bring up a good point, Grant, because you and I were both on the he needs to play last year train. And I think a lot of people, and I don't think either one is for sure right, but I think a lot of people have taken it upon themselves to say, "See, I told you sitting him was the right thing. He's clearly, he's still not even fully ready now." It's like, well, hold on a second. If he had played all last year, imagine the growth. We saw so much growth from Cardinals to Texans. We've seen so much growth from Texans to now. All of that growth could have happened last year, and we could be at a whole different stratosphere right now. Imagine that.
I agree. Double B Studio says, "What's up, dudes? I think the Niners are where they plan to be, according to Kyle Shanahan, and I expect the team to be better than the Cards and sea cucumbers. Well, definitely better than the Seahawks. The thing about the Cardinals is that they have a ridiculous coach. He's terrible. I mean, the whole thing, like, hey Kyler, why don't you call plays? Okay, I'm better than you at it. Yeah, because you're terrible at it, Cliff. Anyway, the Cardinals have a top 10 quarterback, so." I'm sorry. I think Kyler's a top 10 quarterback. He's really good and he's improving. So if they could like actually put a team around him, I'm not sure Trey Lance is going to be a top 10 quarterback just yet. He might be next year. I'm just saying. So we'll see about the Cardinals. I'm a big
listen.
Kyler guy.
I think, by the way, I think there's a major argument for Kyler. I have him just outside the top 10, so we're splitting hairs.
He's right there though. Yeah.
But physically, as far as physically gifted, he's top 5. I mean, the guy's incredible.
Yep.
It's just the mental side, right? Like
considering he doesn't actually.
That's where it's at, right? And that's where
that's why there's a disconnect.
Right.
Yeah. Grant, who should start on O-line week 1? Okay, Axel. So I'm going to say left to right: Trent Williams, Jason Poe. That's a tough one. Okay, the guard should be Jason Poe and Spencer Burford. Left tackle should be Trent Williams. Center should be J.C. Treader, and the right tackle should be Isaiah Wynn. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess that's kind of my answer. Zachary says, I think by the end of the year, Flav is the biggest Lance fan. I don't think so. I think some people are just not going to they're not going to make the transition. Jacob Wyatt says Trey's mechanical issues present when he overthrows trying to do too much. If they had more depth, I would feel better about him staying within himself. Maybe. It's hard to say why he does what he does, but anyway, I feel like a good experienced quarterback coach would handle this in an offseason. Like the Chris Kasarik of the Ken Dorsey would handle this. I don't know why I feel like Ken Dorsey's great, but he's gotten results.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, he certainly has gotten results. Yeah,
gotten results. Jacob Mayhew says Ramillia needs hop out of the chat. Imagine being in another team's live streams every day. Pathetic. He needs to work on his channel and report on his Arm fatigue quarterback. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Pew pew pew.
I always like when fans of other teams come around. It's like it makes it enriches the experience. Anyway.
Oh yeah, there's a Bears fan floating around through chats this offseason, much like who was Don Burr last year for the
Oh
Lions.
yeah, that was funny.
There's a Bears
Anyway,
guy doing that this year.
Trey and everyone watching, I'm just trying to help because I don't know that Brian Greasy is equipped to. And I feel like as long as you focus on the right things, the sky's the limit for you. And I'm sure he already is. And I don't do this to be like, aha, got you, Trey. It's like, this is the answer to the question, or at least my answer to the question Niner fans are asking. And it's probably something Trey's already working on. You said he's working on his base, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be instances of reverting. How could there not be? Again, he does it right most of the time.